Ruth, you've got control over all
Yeah.
of that. Bring her in and everything.
Hmm.
You said, yeah, like who else? I,
But tell her she has
We all
control
do.
too.
I know, but
But
I,
look, we can't have three cooks in the kitchen.
there you
No.
go. So
So
I wanted to know who was in the kitchen. So Ruth, if you're in the
Uh-uh.
kitchen,
yes.
I'm
then
out
we
the
are
kitchen.
okay.
I'm in the living room.
You in the living
Uh,
room?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you
Mm-hmm.
know where I'm on my way.
You're
I'm not, I'm not
not
even
gonna say it. Not gonna say
I'm not even gonna say it. Everybody will figure it out very, very quickly. Very, very
mhm.
quickly. Okay, I think we've got everything lined up. We have a great book tonight. Great book tonight, and a great author. So I'm really excited about
Yes.
her being with us tonight. And weekend review lineup, Ruth. We got you going first, and I'm going second, and Victoria, you will go last, and then you will go right into a bio for our guest tonight. That sound good to everybody?
Sounds wonderful. Sure
Sounds
will.
good.
Okay, all righty then. Well, the one in the kitchen, the cook in the kitchen,
Check
we
it
are
out.
All right.
we are ready to go whenever you are.
Let's go.
Well, hello everybody. How are you
Hello.
tonight? It is our favorite day of the week and our favorite time of the day. Authors Up is here. We're in the house. How are you ladies this
Woohoo.
evening?
Doing
Doing
fine.
well. How are you?
You doing good, Ruth?
I
Yes?
am. Am I on delay or something?
A
Yeah,
little bit.
just
Just a little bit.
Okay. I
That's
don't get it.
okay.
We just got a new router.
huh.
Huh.
So it should be good, but I don't know. Anyway,
Um,
We'll see
technology.
how things go tonight. We're gonna pray they're gonna go absolutely
all
fabulous. So
is well. All is well.
and Queen Victoria, how are you this evening? You well?
The queen is fabulous, darling.
Fabulous, you're fabulous. Wonderful, wonderful. And we have great listeners that have already
Yes.
chimed in tonight. I love it when Leah comes in and says, "Hey, ladies."
You can hear her saying it right. Hey.
And Linda's in the house tonight. Hey, Linda. Good evening to you. Serena, you doing
What?
Sunday evening? I certainly hope so. Thank you for being with us. And
My cuz, hey lady.
we've got our South Carolina connection with us tonight as well. Angie Cooks Oliphant is in the house, in the house. Thank you, Angie, for being with us. And we know that we're going to have some more folks coming in this evening. And I really hope that they do because this one is, boy, this
The
one,
goodie.
this one, this good. It's just good. That's all I can say. It is just good. And we are really, really excited to be able to talk to the author tonight. And I thank her for being with us. Um, yes, 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 yes. I'm going to stop right there because I don't want to start talking about the story before she gets on the line with us.
Don't
So
do
let's start with our weekend review. And we're going to start it off with Miss Ruth. Ruth, what you have going on last week?
Okay. So it was an average week. Work wise, got the opportunity. My daughter actually came up with her husband on Friday night, so we got to share the weekend with them. I know, right? It was so cute watching them. I
Oh,
mean, they
Lord.
were like, even in church today, they were just sitting there holding hands and, just leaning on each other when we went out to eat. And it was
Aw.
just so stinking cute. It really was. The funny part is that, he's made himself at home, so they were sitting there playing video games last night and they were just I mean, he eats just like she does, and she's a tiny thing and she eats a lot. And I'm like, oh my goodness, they're gonna eat me out of home.
There was a man
So,
in the bedroom with the baby.
well, he married to her. He can do
I
that.
know, what's a man in the
He can do that. I mean, last time he was here, with her, we were like, okay, you go to the office, you go to the other bedroom. Now it's just like, all right, both y'all can go to the bedroom. So,
I need a vinegar rag.
so it was nice seeing them, though. It was good, and I just, you know what, I look forward to meeting his family, and just, it was just good.
That's nice. That is so
Yeah.
nice.
It was. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was the highlight of my week.
That's good.
So,
That's
Andrea,
good.
how was yours?
I didn't have any fun highlight like that. That's a fun
Oh, sorry.
highlight. That's good. But we did get together to work on completing our NaNoWriMo More challenge.
Mhm.
So it required going back and taking a look at what we had written before. I'm not going to necessarily say that was fun.
Why?
There's another word. I don't know what, as writers, I ought to always have a word. I should always have the word I need. But
I thought it was exciting. I was
you thought
excited.
it was exciting?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's good. That's good. That's good.
Okay.
There's a journey ahead. I will say that there is
Yeah, it is a journey.
to bring it to completion, and I really appreciate our publisher Ruth Griffin for giving us. She always gives us a good roadmap and gives us
Yes.
what we need in order to keep going, and in order to feel good about keeping going, continuing.
Mhm.
So I appreciate you for that, Ruth. I really,
Definitely.
Oh, you're welcome.
really do.
She is not playing with us this time. That
Oh,
She
no.
ain't playing.
Uh-uh.
That's not gonna sit on the shelf this time.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
We have a plan. We have a what
I'm
was
gonna say homework or
timeline.
instructions, and yes.
We have a timeline and all of that. So I'm gonna get my naps in now because April 1st, I don't think I'll be able to nap anymore.
Woo.
At least for 5 days. At least for 5 days. She's gonna give us the weekend off, and then we are at it again. And the next time I
Okay.
talk about it, I am just going to be falling all over myself because I am just going to be elated
Oh,
about
good.
progress that I have made and this wonderful outcome I am going to have with this story that I keep trying to write. So that was my week in review.
I don't know why you keep saying you keep trying to write.
I saw you do that. What'd you say?
I don't know why you keep saying you're trying to write it. You wrote
It
it.
is a good story. I don't know why I'm more excited about her book than my book. I don't know why she keeps saying such a good
There are a lot of
story, y'all.
reasons for that. There are a lot of reasons for that. And I'll share them with you offline. We have a guest tonight, and we
Okay, all right.
I'm not gonna let you all pick on me and beat me up right now. We can do it later.
No, I am excited about that too.
What about you? What was your week like?
I didn't have a great week. I did not have a great week. I was in fact sick, and it just came out of nowhere. Whew.
Are you better? Are you
take me out? But yes, I'm sitting upright tonight.
All right. That's good.
I'm not laying down. So I'm going to spare you the details, all that, but to God be the glory. I'm
Awesome.
sitting here. I was able to fix my own wig and get myself together tonight. And I just thank God I'm able to be with my friends on tonight. So this is the highlight of my week. Thank you, Jesus.
All right.
All right. And with that said, I'm going to read the bio of our guest, so we will not delay this any longer. Laura Elizabeth has enjoyed a long career in business as well as a rich family life that many years ago took her to Daufuskie Island in South Carolina for the first time. Together, the family embraced the wonder, the pull that they only found in this special place. They returned again and again to rediscover the island's magic, to walk along its shores with their dogs, explore, treasure hunt, and make family memories. As one of the Atlantic coastal islands, Daufuskie has been marked by centuries of American history and was made famous by novelist Pat Conroy's memoir, The Water is Wide, in which he imagined the island in his unique way. From her years of family experiences on the island, Laura imagined Mangin Island as the home for her cozy series, The Island Mysteries. Well, we're going to take a short break, and when we return, we will get to meet the author of the evening, Laura Elizabeth Spence, and we're going to talk about her book, All Is Now Lost. We'll be right back.
Good evening. Good evening. Good
Welcome.
evening. There, Laura. How are you?
I'm so well. Thank you so much for having me tonight.
Oh, look, we've been looking forward to it. So it's good, good, good. So good to have you. Good to have you.
Thank
And
you.
I'm going to stop talking already. I'm going to quit talking. I'm going to turn the official welcome over to Ruth, and she's going to guide us down this path tonight. But I am excited. I tell you that.
Me too.
I hold myself together. Okay.
Okay. Laura, welcome. Thank you for being on our show.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Now, before we get into your book, tell us a little bit more about you. We heard about the island. Now we want to know about Laura.
Well, I live in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and I've lived here for about 6 years. I'm originally from New Jersey, but I've lived in a lot of states along the eastern seacoast, just kind of making my way down. And the last stop before Atlanta was Richmond, Virginia. I have 2 children who are adults who accompanied me on our very first trip to this magical island, along with my husband, Jay.
All right. All right. Now, so Jersey in the house.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us about your book, All Is Now Lost. What inspired you to write it, and what kind of books do you like to read?
It's a great question. I kind of have a little bit of a convoluted way how I got to writing this mystery. So my family and I were supposed to be, many years ago when children were small, we're supposed to be going on a vacation for spring break. And those plans fell through at the very last minute, maybe 3 or 4 days before we were supposed to go on our trip to the Grand Canyon. And it was all because someone was supposed to be watching our 2 dogs, and one of them was a little bit of a nervous wreck. So she could not go into the kennel once our neighbor said she could no longer watch our dogs. So we really thought that we were going to cancel our plans and not go on vacation. That was going to be fine. But at the last minute, my husband said, see what we could find that's pet friendly and we could drive to from Richmond. And we Googled, and Daufuskie Island came up as an option. We didn't know anything about it, never heard of it, didn't know anybody who had been there. And we said, well, why not? Let's just do it. It's 1 week, it'll be great, I'm sure. So, and it started off that way as our drive down Route 95 with the 2 kids and the 2 dogs and all of the stuff in the car until about maybe 4 or 5 hours of that. And then it wasn't so great anymore. We were anxious and angry and hangry and hot, and the dogs were panting, and it didn't really seem like such a great idea anymore. But we pulled in at almost the last minute before the boat was ready. It's a bridgeless island. You take the boat from Hilton Head, and we almost didn't make that boat, but
oh wow,
we did, and we got there and pulled into the resort, and it was like everything that I had been hoping to find, and all the places that I lived, I found them in that first 15, 20 minutes of being on this island. It was like it grabbed my soul. It changed my life. It was a moment I can't describe any other way except knowing like that's where I was supposed to be. Wow. And we ended up buying a piece of property on that trip, which was, obviously very impulsive and not something that we would normally be able to do, or it's just bizarre, but we did it, and had all these dreams of what life was going to be like. We were going to build a house there, and I had a job at the time that was remote, which was way before it was cool to be working remote. And the kids were going to have a Huckleberry Finn kind of hot childhood where they could just wander and free range and do all these things. Well, none of that actually ended up happening because the resort where this property is went bankrupt probably within 8 or 9 months after us making this impulsive decision. And it was a good long while before it wasn't in bankruptcy anymore. But then we were excited and thought, okay, well, now's the time. Kids are older, out of bankruptcy, going to work out. Well, then it went through bankruptcy again. And so we thought, okay, why is it like this? It's so awesome. Like, why is this happening? So I spend a lot of time researching and doing all the information that's in the public domain, but kind of putting together my own explanation of why is this happening? And that was important to me to figure out, how could we have gotten it so wrong when it was clearly so right, right. So then we moved from Richmond, and then we're in Atlanta, and then it's COVID, and people are baking sourdough and, doing all kinds of things. And my passion project at that time was, I don't work in hospitality and I don't work in construction, and I'm not an investment banker, but I do like to talk to people. So what if I use the skills that I had to talk to people about investing and reimagining Daufuskie Island? Like what would be the worst thing that would happen? And the worst thing that would happen to me was nothing would happen, because it can't be any worse than it is right now. So right. I kind of quietly went around, used LinkedIn, did a lot of other things where I connected people who may be investors and maybe operators of hotel, and put together this project. And that was really exciting because I met a lot of people and I did a lot of tours with people and got the right people in the room to make something happen. Well, as part of that communication, I met I reconnected with a man I went to college with 1,000 years ago. And he said, "What have you been up to?" My husband and I met in college, and he said, "What have you and your husband been doing?" And I said, "Oh, we lived here. We've done this. We've been there, like all the things." And I told him about this project, and he said, "It's amazing that you did this pro bono. You did it anonymously. You did it quietly. You did it for the reasons of just being called to do something that is bigger than you and that you weren't going to benefit from it." And he's like, I just wrote this book and I'll introduce you to my publisher. And he might like to write, publish a book about passion projects. And wouldn't that be exciting? And I thought, yeah, it'd be really cool. Like, I never thought about that before. So yeah, that'd be cool. So let's do that. And so I met with the publisher and he's like, great story, but you're not really famous and you don't have a social media and you have no credentials and all of that's true. So I just had a passion for this place and this project, and I wanted my book to be about not starting a resort, but really being true to yourself and into what calls you to do something, even if it doesn't make sense. And even if everyone tells you shouldn't be doing it, just do it. And so he said, if you aren't going to write a nonfiction story because, you might not get it published, how about if you write in a genre that you like to read? And what is that? And I said, well, I like to read mysteries. I really like mysteries. I've always liked mysteries. And so he's like, write a mystery, set on the island, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. We don't know if you can even write, try. And so I'm like, challenge accepted. So I'm going to write this story, and nobody may ever read it, but I may, just for me, I'll see what happens. And so I didn't know, obviously what was going to happen. And he said from the beginning, there's no guarantees. You have to actually be able to write. And so I submitted the manuscript, and, I got the email that said, call us. And I thought, well, I don't know if that's really great. I don't know what call us means, but I called him and he said, we'd like to publish a book and we'd really be interested in being his series, because the characters are people that, we don't want it to end at the end of the book. We want them to continue. And you could have knocked me over with a feather, because I thought this is just more than I could ever have hoped that it would be, where people would read this book and feel this way about not only the people that I imagine, but also the place that's so important to me.
Right.
The message, overall is that, this island has been so important to my family, and for all the things that we feel that we've been given from the time that we've spent there is, so for other people to be able to read it and maybe relate to it or find their own special place that, calls them, it was just a dream come true, and a dream I didn't even know I had until the opportunity presented itself. So
this is your first book.
It is. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it is. So
amazing.
yeah.
What a story.
So fun. So I'm like, it's the lesson of saying yes, saying yes to things that, regardless of the people who said, you're crazy, no one's going to listen to you. No one's going to talk to you. Even through the resort project, so many people said to me, I would never do that. And I said, you don't have to. You can do your own thing.
Right.
But, and so many people said, well, I would never talk to you. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I would talk to me either, but regardless, there are people who are talking to me, and people all around the world talk to me. So I think it was the fact, not that I was telling them something that was so, compelling in and of itself, but it was just that I had a passion for it, and it was credible because the passion was credible. And I think that's the overarching lesson it was for me anyway.
Wow.
So fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So part of the allure of mysteries is the clues, figuring out who done it, the twists and turns, diversions. I mean, is that how your mind works, or were you just inspired by what you like to read? How did you come up with the story?
So I imagine the story. People often ask, are you a plotter or pantser? And, the fact that I bought a piece of property kind of spontaneously, probably not a plotter. So, it just really is. I do a lot of things almost impulsively, but I do have somewhat of a plan. So the plan for this was, I had this story. I knew who the characters were, the three main characters, and then I imagined just what would happen in this place where the crime takes place is a real place on the island. And years ago, when it looked not like it looks today, I said to my husband when we saw it for the first time, like, this is a great place for a murder. And it's just kind of like off the beaten track. And he's like, should I be concerned that you're plotting a murder? I thought, it's just like creepy. It was then. It isn't now, but it was then. And I thought it's really just something pulled at me. It stayed with me, all these years in between. And I thought it would really be great to build a story around that place, these people, and how do you get from point A to point B? Dropping the clues was really a challenge. This is a cozy mystery. So it isn't a police procedural where we're getting dragged through, the forensics and seeing
Right.
the blood and the gore and seeing the crime take place. That all kind of happens. And as an amateur sleuth, you wouldn't necessarily be, the protagonist wouldn't really be, in it that way. So I wanted something where the protagonist was working in tandem with the police to kind of showcase each their own skills and talents. And so the protagonist's talent is to have power of observation and building community and listening to what people are saying and what they may not be saying.
Mhm.
And those were all kind of clues. And I think that skill is a really admirable one in a communication style. And I wanted a strong female character who would show that she could be sensitive and kind and loving to her community, but still be perceptive and, skeptical in a healthy way to draw conclusions. That one is not mutually exclusive. You don't, just because you might be skeptical doesn't mean that you're not loving and kind too. So I wanted that. I wanted whatever the path would take in the story to, kind of drive that messaging home that as women, we can be all of those things and still, show up for people in the way that they would like us to show up and we would like to show up for them.
Is that you?
It is not me. Ask me that.
I don't know.
There was a woman that actually drove to a recent event in Georgia. She drove from Alabama to come and meet me. And she said, I'm just really disappointed that the protagonist, on the cover of your book is blonde because I know that you're not. And, I want it to be you. And I'm like, it's not me.
Hey, if you say so.
We'll see.
So tell us about the recent event.
So the recent event was in a few months ago. I was at a vineyard in North Georgia called Kaya Vineyard, and I was doing a book event there, and they offered me the opportunity to bring my book, All Is Now Lost, to life as a murder mystery dinner theater. And it was so much fun. 3 shows under a big tent in North Georgia, beautiful setting in their phenomenal vineyard, and dinner and the cast walking around, interacting with the crowd, and we had sold out shows all 3 nights. It was like a magical moment of, having the characters that were in my mind and on the page. Now now they're 3D, actual real life people talking. And it was so much fun. And the owner of the vineyard said, we want to do this next year in 2025, and we want 4 shows next year. So,
Awesome.
it's all from saying yes, to
Mhm.
having a crazy idea of doing this project for, for the island, for a place that is important to me. And then traveling down this road that who'd have thought that this would have happened? I didn't, certainly. So it just was like, why not? Like, why not do it? Like, why not try? So it's been really like, it was just a surreal moment. The very first night to hear them say the words, I was like, it's happening. It's actually happening. It's real. So super fun. And I've been really, really lucky from the fact the book came out last June was the pre-launch. It was launched officially in September. And then I've been to a zillion places, like lots of different bookstores and book fairs and author events. And I've met so many really interesting people, other authors. Just, it's been so like, I mean, yes, a lot of work for sure, but also just a lot of fun because every single one has been different. Every single event has been different. The format's been different. You never know what to expect. It's just like, it's good for me. It makes me like go with the flow. So I've become a lot more go with the flow. So yeah, it's been fun.
That is awesome. You'll definitely have to let us know when the next shows are. So
Oh yes, definitely. March 2025. I will definitely keep you in it was just
all right.
Fun.
Awesome. Awesome.
That's great.
Andrea, you got some questions?
That is, you are an inspiration.
Yes.
You really are, because there's so many times that we put up roadblocks when it is something new and something different. And you don't necessarily have somebody saying, Laura, you go get it, you can do it. You've got somebody saying, well, we don't even know if you can write. That not the most encouraging sentence that you want to hear. But like you said, you had a passion to do it. You decided, you know what, I'm gonna go, however this turns out, I'm going to go ahead and go forward with it, and look what has happened. I mean, not just the joy of having it published, but having it brought to life in such a unique way. I think that's awesome. And I know it's going to continue to be successful because you're willing to say yes, you're willing to try it, you're willing to kind of put it out there, and I think that's great. I think that's great. I do want to ask you something though, if you can explain it, and you may not be able to, but I noticed that most of when you are describing the island, you describe it as being magical. What was it about this island, this place, that makes you think of it that way?
It's a hard thing to describe. Growing up, my parents had a place in Massachusetts on the Cape in Massachusetts. They bought it before I was born, and my father passed away when I was a child, and my mom moved back to New Jersey, and she wanted to get back to the Cape. And before I went to college, she moved back there, and I'd say, why would you want to go back there? Like your husband died there. It was, why would you want to go? And she said, it's the only place that, I feel like home in. And she did. She went there, and I never understood that because I liked it and it was beautiful and I appreciated living there and all the beauty of it. But it was just like a place, and it had its things that were really enjoyable, but I didn't feel any real connection to it. And it was very odd to me to pull into this resort and see these live oaks that had been there for, centuries in this spot, and all the branches that intertwined with each other, and to stand underneath there and think like, I'm part of this in a way that I had never felt in all the places that I've lived and the places that I had traveled to. It was like this is your place. And still to this day, all these years, nearly 20 years later, now we own a second piece of property there, and we go quite a few times a year. It never gets old to me. It's like I know what's coming, and I can tell when the boat is rounding the bend that I'm going to see this piece of land.
Oh.
I still get goosebumps every single time, and I feel such tremendous sadness to leave. It's like
Wow.
feet leave the dock, and get back on the boat, and it's over, and I have to go back to reality and work and all the things. Sure, I understand the sadness that people get when their vacation is over, of course, especially if you had a really great time or, but this is different. It's like leaving a piece of myself behind there. And not all the trips have been great. I mean, some of them have been difficult. We vacationed there through the bankruptcy, and sometimes you didn't know. Like, we rented a cottage one time, and it was there was a storm, and it was a keypad entry, and power went out. We couldn't get in, so like we had to crawl through the laundry room window to get into our place that we were renting. I mean, there's been some wild, crazy things that have happened, that it's not all like sunshine and roses and life, like everybody. There's been things that have been disappointing and things that have happened, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't take away the feeling and the joy of being in your place. And so I've never felt that connection to something like to a place before. And in the story, in my book, I view the island as its own character. As the character, the island has something to say, and so in its own way, it has a voice in the story, and it really becomes a little bit louder of a voice in the second book too. That it has that same restorative feeling, that gift that I get from it when so I write about that, and I'm hoping that other people, I'm not expecting everyone and to go to Daufuskie and be like, this is my place, but I hope that people find their place, whatever it is, and get that same peace that I get when I'm there.
So is it because of, when you first went, did you, and you decided to write, did you see the mystery story? How difficult was that? Because I think mysteries are hard to write. It's a genre that's difficult to write in. And like historical novels, I think those are difficult to write in because you have to do so much research, and you better be on point. You better be
and people will tell you when you're not.
They surely will. They surely will. So do you think it was just the passion for the place and how you felt about it that kind of helped you to continue to move on that journey, as opposed to, writing a wonderful love story in a beautiful place? And you know what I'm saying? Do you think that was it? Because for this to be your first book, and for you to have gotten the reception that you've gotten, and the doors that have opened, and the things that are happening with it that we know are not going to stop, because you've got this whole series now in your head that you're going to put out there. So what is that? Is it just the passion that drives it all, you think?
I do. I think it's I just so want people to understand that story, and it is the idea that this place is magical to me. Like, there have been incredible things I've just never felt like I've been, even though I've lived in some places for a decade, sometimes less, sometimes more, but I haven't ever felt like home. And so the fact that I feel at home here, even with strangers, like now many of these people have become friends, and but it didn't obviously start out that way, and it certainly wouldn't when you spend maybe a week every year there. You're not going to build friendships, but that feeling of being part of a community, I just have never felt that pull before, that magic of saying that I am part of this community. It matters whether my family is here, not because we're anything better or special or anything, but just us being there as us. And it is not a homogenous place. It's not like everyone looks the same, does the same, they're in the same socioeconomic group. It is not. You have very, very wealthy people who live there, some famous people who are kind of tucked away down these dirt roads, and then some very, very poor people who don't even have running water or electricity. And everyone matters on the island in their own way. And that is like, it's a small community. And what I write about, where everyone shows up and brings, like, you have the baker and the bookstore person, the real estate person, and everyone matters, not for what they're contributing financially or, from a social perspective, but because of who they are as people. And I've never felt that in any other place. So that feeling of being part of a community was really important to me. And that's what drove me to say, like, it's a quirky place and it's not for everyone. I don't know what it says that it is for us, but I don't know what it says about us, but it just is. I wanted people to know that these places do exist, especially during hard times and where there's so many things that divide us. There are things that unite us, and just being who you are, it's like you, the person, matters. So I think that's a message that I wish somebody would have said to me. And so I feel that there, and I want people to have that opportunity to hear it.
That's fascinating. Victoria?
Do you think you'll ever live there full time?
That's the plan.
Right.
Yeah, we are, the second piece of property that we just, about a year and a half or so ago. It's in a community that has a lot more amenities in terms of transportation and things that would make living there a little bit easier than just an occasional boat and things like that. So we are hoping that someday we can do that.
Good. I want to say I love the story. Everybody knows I like the whodunits and the mystery, so that appealed to me right off the bat. And I said I have to finish it. I haven't quite finished it. I'm not there yet, but I need to find out what happened. So listeners and viewers, get the book. Get this book. You will enjoy it. It just drew me in from the very first chapter. I like the main character, the changes in her life. I mean, it was just beautiful. I just love it. And you definitely made the reader want to go visit this place. If that was the goal, you are the official travel agent for this place.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Good. I hope you do. I do hope you go and experience some island magic too. I hope so.
Well, how can our listeners and our viewers get in touch with you if they have any more questions, and how could they get the book?
My website is theislandmysteries.com, and that has all the ways that you can connect with me. My book is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's available on Apple Books, independent bookstores, Books A Million, lots of different places, also through my website. But my website, when you go to it, there's a pop-up that comes and you can subscribe to my newsletter. I only send out one a month, so not bombarding you, but it is usually links to events. And I like to give people a brief glimpse into what I've done and where I'm going, just to kind of keep people in the loop. A lot of people email me, which I love. It's just so interesting to me because they'll say, like, why did this happen? Or when you went to this event, you said this, like, and or some people will just write and say, like, last newsletter, you were talking about, dog sitting your neighbor's dog. How'd that work out? And I'm thinking, like,
Okay.
how lucky am I that people are like really interested? Like,
Interacting with you.
but they do kind of try and draw parallels between, like, someone said in the story, this is not a spoiler, the protagonist's husband has died, and that's
Mhm.
the impetus for her leaving her home and going to this island. And
Right.
so people have said, like, is your husband still alive? Yes, my husband's still alive. Well, why did you kill him off in the boat? I'm not the protagonist. He's not the spouse of the main
And
character.
say story, people. Is it fiction? Is it fictional novel?
So we've had a few of those. But it's very interesting to me, and has helped me tremendously to say, like, I need to, when I'm talking to people, say these messages, so it's been beneficial to me. But that has been the impetus for me to be invited to some book clubs. I have book club questions on my website.
Okay.
I've been there in person, I've been there virtually. So I'm really up for anything. And so it's just a great way to communicate with people. I'm also on Instagram, and my handle is The Island Mysteries. And then I'm also on LinkedIn, which has surprisingly been very, I've just been very fruitful. There's been a lot of people worldwide who have connected with me on LinkedIn. So it's just been fun. So lots of different ways.
How many books do you think you'll do in the Island Mystery series?
So I have 5 books that have been kind of mapped out just at a very high level. So book 2 is complete. And that one is a story about a girls' trip. So so there's 4 girls on a trip, and
Girls trip.
road trip. And so all the stories are gonna either be on Mungin Island, which is my version of Defusky,
Right.
or in that local area, but they'll all have the same core group of characters. The main characters will be in there. So
Okay, good.
Mhm.
Well, thank you so much for being with us. We always like to say that, nobody can tell a story like the author can, and you certainly fulfilled that for us tonight to hear the background and how you came up with your stories. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, it was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Ruth, and I do think you're one of those characters, Laura. And I think you know which one I'm thinking of.
I do.
Ruth, you always close us out with information about Authors Up. If you would do that tonight, that would be amazing.
Absolutely. So if you have any questions, if you would like to be on the show, email us at authorsup@gmail.com. Also follow us on social media. We are on Facebook, on Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Authors Up Show and you will find us. You can watch a replay of this on Saturday on Facebook Live, or you can download the podcast from your favorite platform. So there we go.
All righty. Thank you so much, Ruth. Let me tell you, this has been inspiring. It has been exciting just to see all of the things that are happening just because you said yes, Laura.
Yes.
That is just, it's phenomenal. It is phenomenal what is happening. And we want you to keep us in the loop now that you have finished the second book, and that's on its way to garnering great things for you as well. And when it's all out there, it's called.
Ooh, I will do that. This is so much fun.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, Laura. Ladies, thank you for being here and doing what you do. And we thank all of our listeners and viewers for joining us as well. We are here every Sunday night at 7 p.m. and we encourage you to put us on your list of things to do and enjoy. Come back next week. You never, ever know. You never know what's going to happen when you tune into Authors Up, but we guarantee you it's going to be a good time. And it's going to be a great time for information, for exchange, for great conversation, and for you to meet some phenomenal authors and writers. So thank you for being with us tonight. Laura, thank you again. You've been a gracious host, a gracious guest for us, and easy to talk to, and so exciting about all the things that are happening with your book. So thank you so much. And that is it for us for tonight. Join us. Come on back next week, 7 p.m. and see what we've got going on. There's always something good on Authors Up.
Always.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Good night, Bronze Girls.